Joining us now in the studio, the Transportation Commissioner for the Central District, Willie Simmons. Good morning, Commissioner. Thanks so much for coming in.
Good morning, Gerard. Glad to be with you.
We were just talking about this rain offline there and in the Delta area in particular. So your district includes some of that, right? And how are the roads faring through all this? Have you lost some roads?
We've lost a couple of roads over in Tallahatchie County area and Sunflower County. It is terrible. Highway 49, we had to shut it down for a while also. But when we look at the inland, normally we think about the river rising and a levee break or something. But all of the rainfall and with the grounds already being saturated to the point that they were, the water has no place to go.
Yeah.
So when you look at places like Belzona, you look at Mile Bayou, Winstonville, Marigold, Shelby, over in Sunflower County, the Drew area, is very devastating. And it came so fast with so much rain, we didn't have an opportunity to prepare individuals to put sandbags out to protect certain areas of homes and whatnot. So the water's just there and standing, not moving.
Are you in touch, obviously, with your offices in that area, and what particular or specific actions are they taking to try to protect and keep these roads passable?
We're watching our drainage system, and, there's so much trash that people put out on the highways oftentimes block up those drainage. So wherever we see a problem that may be caused by some of our inability to drain properly, we're going in and cleaning those out as fast as we can.
Why can't we get people to quit putting their trash on the roads? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
I guess we're going to start paying individuals to collect paper and take it somewhere and get paid for it so they keep it in their cars until they can go and get an incentive to keep them from doing it, because we are paying to pick up what they put out. Here in the Jackson area, we have a serious problem. As a matter of fact, we have a contractual arrangement with the folks who mow our roadway, and they pick up trash also. But here in the Jackson area this year, we spent over $150,000 on an additional contract just to pick up trash because it was so bad.
So essentially the taxpayers are paying for people who are just inconsiderate and lazy when it comes down to it.
Inconsiderate, and it's all not just individuals throwing the Magnolia wrappers out of the cars. We have some companies that are hauling garbage and or other materials and don't properly put tops on it.
Gotcha.
And that's blowing off of trucks. Yep. So it's a combination of things that's going on.
Gotcha. Well, they should be responsible as well.
When we can identify them, we'll penalize them.
Good. Because we're all paying for that, and it's just inexcusable. All right, so we've got a new executive director at the MDOT, Mr. Brad White, a good friend, used to be the governor's chief of staff, also worked, as you know, for Senator Cochran for a number of years. So how do you see that shaking out? I think that was a good choice. Your thoughts?
I feel good about it. Everybody loves Brad. Yeah. Brad has been around and been in a lot of different places. He has a good network. His communication skills and collaboration is good. And those kinds of qualities, I think, is going to be good for the department. I say everybody like Brad because I've gotten phone calls from some of the other applicants who actually applied for the position. And although they weren't selected, they tell me, well, you made a good choice, Brad.
Sure.
So I think Brad's going to be good for it. We also had Jeff Altman, who was an applicant and had been with the department for a long time. Jeff is a team player, and both he and Brad is kind of communicated and indicated that they kind of like playing ball together. So with both of those experiences coming, I think the Department of Transportation is in good hands.
Good. So what's your vision, Commissioner? What are some of the bigger initiatives that are on the plate, both at DOT across the state and in particular in the Central District here?
We have some very serious challenges. Starts with money. We, as you well know, is funded by a fuel tax or a user fee. Individuals go into the pump and whatever they purchase, and that is a flat revenue, 18 cents a gallon. It's been that way since 1989. It was put in place in 1987. has not changed, although the cost for repairs and building and maintaining our highways and bridges has increased over 300%. That's the major problem. That problem is only going to get worse because the nation, when we look at the auto industry, they are moving towards electric and hybrid vehicles.
Yeah.
That means fewer folks are going to be going to the pumps. So as a result of that, we're going to see less revenue coming into the system. Now, most folks think that the 18 cents that we get comes to the Department of Transportation. We only get about 70% of that. The rest of it goes to the counties and municipalities, state aid, other projects and programs that exist. So we only get about $300+ million out of that, and then we get dollars from other sources, and about 49% of what we get, $500-some million, come from the federal government. So we are more dependent on the federal government for our infrastructure system than our citizens and or individuals who are traveling our highways, and we need to change that.
Yeah. So when you say we need to change it, what specifically do you advocate changing? An increase in the state fuel tax, for example, or trying to figure out a way to receive more funding from the federal government? Combination? What do you think?
Combination. The president and Congress is looking at an infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
So quite naturally, we want to get as much as we can. We only get about 1% of what they put in the system. Mississippi, because of our rural highways and the needs that we have that have not been taken care of in the past, we need to get more of that. So I'm hoping that Congress, if they roll back into doing earmarks, that Mississippi will benefit from that, similar to what we used to do under Senator Cochran and Senator Lott, to get those kinds of earmarks coming in to take care of some of our rural highways. But here in Mississippi, we need to have a diverse resource to support infrastructure, not just the fuel tax. I think the fuel tax should be increased. And I've always advocated for that. And I think that because that is a user fee, those individuals who use our highways are actually benefiting from it. So we need to utilize that system, but we need to have some other things. We can look at axle weight. We can look at the weight of the vehicle when it's purchased. We can look at hotel fees, similar to what other states have done, where you have a large segment of tourists coming through. Those individuals are using our highways, so when they stay in the hotels, we could actually collect a small fee from them, which could go toward our infrastructure. So there's a number of ways that we can look at adding additional funds, and I don't think we ought to just depend upon a fuel tax.
We've got $1.8 billion coming down to the state of Mississippi, just to the state directly. Not to count the funding or the funds that are going to be allocated to the certain counties and cities. That's coming from the president's rescue plan. And there's some restrictions on that, but it appears that some of that at least can be used in certain situations for roads and bridges. Have you been in talk with state leaders, the lieutenant governor, speaker, governor, et cetera, about carving out some of that money for that purpose?
We've had conversation with them. And there was three categories of monies that came down: the $1.8 billion that you're speaking of, and the money that's going to the counties and municipalities, $1.2 billion in one pocket, $1.8 in another. The governor, I don't think, has actually signed off on bringing that money that's going to come in to the state yet. But we've had conversation with the governor and the legislative body about how we could benefit from that. And then there was another pool of money, $118 million, that was sent to the Department of Transportation. The legislation during this session, past session, actually took the $118 million rather than sending it to the Department of Transportation and put it in what is referred to as the Emergency Bridge Road Program, $89 million of that. And then another $30 million that was put into the pool where they earmarked it going to various projects. We hope that they don't do that in the future. Monies that's allocated for the Department of Transportation, let it come to us, the commissioners, and we will work with the legislative bodies to make sure the money goes into various projects that need to be taken care of.
I got you. Commissioner, thanks so much for coming on today. Really good to see you and appreciate your service to the state and in particular the Central District. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having us, and keep in touch with us.
You bet.
Okay.
Commissioner Willie Simmons, Transportation Commissioner for the Central District, has been our guest. We'll be right back on the JT Show after